Well, good morning again. I have another little project here. I've always been fascinated by old country churches out in the boondocks usually, and I decided to put one together as a little puzzle. And it's been very popular with a lot of my customers, and thought I'd show you how I cut this thing this morning. One of the main features, of course, is the fact that I use these big chunky keys to lock the pieces together. Makes the project a little easier to cut, makes it a little more fun, and I also tried to incorporate a little cross in the middle of it too, make it stand out. So I've got it already blocked up on a blank. It's about a 3/4 inch blank, and I've taped it all down with masking tape, as I've done in the past with other projects. And now it's just a matter of cutting it out on the scroll saw. You can see there's a little door down at the bottom there that will be cut out. So no special holes are required to drill as entry holes here. So I'm going to just start cutting this thing and hope that it all falls together eventually, and we'll take a look at it when it's done. This is a stand-up puzzle, by the way. So when we're done, we should be able to stand it up as well as play around with it. Well, we're over here at the scroll saw, ready to start cutting. I've already got my blade in here. This is a Flying Dutchman. I like using those. And it's a number 5 reverse tooth blade. It's pretty much the standard blade I use. I call it the people's blade. And has a nice ring to it. And we're ready to go. The thing that makes it interesting too, these particular blades, is that at the top you have a little depression made, a little groove, which shows you right away when you're working which end is the top, upright portion of the blade. So it makes it nice and easy to work with in that sense. So you might want to consider these blades if you're thinking about what type of blade you should use. Okay, here we go. We're going to just cut this thing out. Okay, I was aiming for the center piece to cut out, which I wanted to get first, and I did. You'll notice too that when I cut these things, my patterns are just guides. The lines are just guides. And as I'm cutting along, I do a little visual editing. Sometimes I might decide, well, maybe this should be a chunkier key, and so I cut it a little bit bigger. Or maybe this lines up a little better if I cut it off to the line, or give it a little bit thicker. So when I'm cutting, that's what's going to happen. As you can see, I made the key over here much larger than it was in the picture. I always look upon any patterns as being just a guide. You got to use your own creative ideas as you go along. Sometimes it adds to it, makes it look prettier. Sometimes it makes it look a little bit different. But always try experimenting as you do your cutting. Don't just automatically accept what's on paper. Alright, here we go. Let's cut out the rest of this piece. Alright, we cut out the little cross piece. Doesn't really matter what order you cut these in, as long as they are coming out smoothly. I'm going to cut out this door, get rid of that. There, we're getting rid of the door now. Strange little church, they always have their door open. Anyway, that's the way a church should be, I suppose. Okay. Another section done. Let's cut out this side piece. Again, I've made certain editing procedures here as I was cutting, and some people look at it and they'll say, well, that's terrible because look at the lines, you're off the lines. Well, when you tear the pattern off, you're not going to have any line there, so nobody's going to know whether it was supposed to be there or not. You always do what you feel is best as you're doing your cutting, and I think this is working out pretty good so far. Okay, so let's do some more cutting here. This is a fairly easy puzzle to cut. If you need some practice, this might be the one to work with. Okay, and that's the last piece. So what we'll do now, take this over the bench and let's peel those pattern pieces off. Okay, I got all the pieces cut out. Now what we have to do is take the paper labels off. Some of these pieces are kind of small. When they are, it's difficult to get your nails underneath the edge of the pattern, but once you do, it should peel off pretty easy. Now this is much better than if you had to spray the thing down with liquids and peel it off. Works pretty nice for me anyways. So let's go and take all these labels off. Well, I got all of the labels off now. And what I'm going to do now is go over to the mop sander. I did this with my last puzzle, so I'm not going to bother to film it this time. But you can go back and check and see what I'm talking about. I'm going to run it over the mop sander and round off these edges and corners and smooth everything out. I'm using on these puzzles, by the way, a 3/4 inch pine, which is a very soft wood. So when you do your sanding, just be careful not to squeeze things too tightly with your fingers, because if you do, you could easily break them, and then you got a little gluing job on your hand, or you have to do some recutting again if you want to do that if you can help it. So I'm going to go sand this down, and I'll bring it back, and we'll try the great puzzle assembly again, which I sometimes have luck with and sometimes don't. Okay, we got our puzzle all nicely sanded down. The edges are nice and smooth so you don't get a sliver or something out of it. By the way, this puzzle the pattern is available. It's in my Etsy store. There's a link down below. If you click down there, you can get to it. Relatively inexpensive, and the to be helping out this channel in the process of doing that. Purchasing my items, of course, isn't just a matter of me making millions of dollars, which I'm not, but helping to offset the costs of various things that come up in terms of wood and other expenses that make these projects available. So if you like to try this on your own, you can just click that link below and it'll take you right to it. All right, let's see if we can put this thing together now. All right, well, we know, of course, that the bottom pieces look something like this to make the door. All right, well, we'll try that. And these pieces fit in there somehow. Let's see. Let's try this one here. Maybe the other way around. And voila, we have our little country church. All right, this is, of course, a stand-up puzzle, so we want to stand it up on end. Somebody once asked me, well, Begetta, this is a nice little puzzle, stand-up puzzle, but how do I get it to stand up? When I try to stand it up, the thing falls apart on me. Well, the best way to do it is to take a board, something like this, or a piece of cardboard, something easy, and then just put this underneath the puzzle. It'd be better if you assemble it on the board to begin with. Okay, so it stands, so it looks like that. Make it level with the bottom of the board, of course. And now, it's a very simple matter of fact. We'll take the paper out of here, I think. Better if it was a really nice, smooth surface. This surface is really getting worn, but all you have to do now is stand it upright with the cardboard on the back or the board on the back, and lo and behold, your stand-up puzzle does just what it's supposed to do. It stands up. Let me take the camera off here, swing it around this side. All right, now you get a better view of what our little country church looks like. All right, so let me put this back on the camera stand, known also as a tripod, and I'm going to show you how I get this ready to go, get shipped out. This is going to a customer in the United States. So what I'm going to do is take my heating gun here, and I'm going to seal this little church in plastic, make it somewhat easy to deliver. All right, what you're going to need is some food bags. Pick these up in my local supermarket, and you just take this, take the bag, and put it over the puzzle. Now, there's several ways you could do this. If it's a pretty sturdy puzzle, stands up by itself, you can do it that way, and just knock it down and pull the plastic forward. You might also have to, if it's a really big puzzle, you might have to lay it down on the board and slide it into the bag that way. What I like to do with all my puzzles too before I send them out is to sign them. A little notation on the bottom just to let them know that I did this for them. I'm going to take it and flatten it out as best you can. Now we're going to take the heat gun, very high heat, and we're going to just fan over the top of this thing until the plastic all shrinks around and encases that little puzzle and makes it a good solid piece. Now, you don't want to hold it in the spot too long, because it'll tend to cause a problem with plastic, put a hole in it or something like that. Little holes here and there aren't bad, but you don't want to have big gaps in the bag either. Okay, so I'm going to do this and start up at the closed end so that the hot air bubbles down. Flip it over. Seal up the other side. And there you go. You got your little country church ready for delivery. Well, hope you enjoyed this little project. If you did, don't forget to click the little like button down below. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to do that too. That'll also help the channel. Well, thank you for watching.